There's an article I want you to go find. This is my new pet cause. I don't know how you and I are going to do something about this, but pick up Wired magazine. Now, you're actually going to, I think the May issue is already on the business stands, on the stands, magazine stands. You're going to need to find the April issue of Wired magazine and go to the article, La Vida Robot, how 4 underdogs from the mean streets of Phoenix took on the best from MIT in the National Underwater Bot Championship. The reason I want you to read this article, first of all, these 4 kids, high school kids, took on all these teams and they won. Hate to give away the story, but they won. They beat these whiz kids, college kids from MIT in this robotics competition. Make a long story short, these kids are undocumented. Their parents brought them across the border. They have no control over the fact that they are undocumented. But because they are, they cannot have scholarships. They cannot be awarded scholarships by the state, by the school system. These kids are absolutely brilliant. And there are a couple of products that are listed when they discovered they had an underwater leak that could possibly ruin their chances in the competition. One of them was smart enough to go to the grocery store, stand around until he found a woman that he felt comfortable asking, what is the most absorbent tampon? I'm serious, and it kept the robot running underwater. But the tampon he bought is so clearly mentioned in this article, and as is Hooters restaurant, and none of them have offered money up for a scholarship. I think we need to work on that. I'll tell you some more later. We'll be back. It's The Art of Doing Business on the Biz Radio Network. I had a question for you. The ad guy at the ad store in New York, you know the value of getting press for your clients.
Mm-hmm.
Or when your clients get mentioned in a favorable light in an article. I was just talking about in Wired magazine, which is getting a pretty big subscriber base around the country. When Wired magazine, the April issue came out, there's a great story in there about 4 pretty much, it's 4 undocumented kids that live in Phoenix. Most of the kids in this school are undocumented by no fault of their own. Their parents crossed the border, and they came with them. These 4 kids are brilliant. They joined the robotics team. Long story short, they beat everybody, including the college students at MIT, to win the underwater robotics championship, but they can't get scholarships because they're undocumented.
Oh, my God.
So, yeah, here are 4 kids who could possibly be the ones that figure out, alternative energy or how to get us to Mars or
right.
how to get us back to the moon, who are probably not going to go to college. Although I must say, I emailed their computer teacher,
yeah.
and the head of their robotics team. I emailed the computer science teacher, Alan Cameron, last night, and got an update that through this article, they've already gotten, I think it was about $44,000 in donations.
Isn't that great?
But these are 4 kids, and we're
right.
talking, they can't get scholarships.
Yeah, we're talking about $400,000, right?
And they can't get state rates for college either. They have to pay full out-of-state rates.
Wow.
Because they're undocumented. So here's what I'm going after. And I'm sure I made some people uncomfortable a few minutes ago when I told this story, but it was so brilliant. They discovered when they got to the competition they had a leak, and this is an underwater competition.
Mm-hmm.
One of them had a brilliant idea. He went to the grocery store, stood around until he saw a woman he was comfortable asking, "Excuse me, ma'am, what is the most absorbent tampon?" And he told her why. "We have an underwater robot. It's leaking. We need to put something in there."
Yeah.
She said, "Oh, you must go with OB. They're the most absorbent." I think Johnson & Johnson needs to pay for these kids' scholarships. Do you know how many women are going to read that?
Look what the OB tampon did, yeah.
And then at the end of the article, they kept saying, if we win anything, can we go to Hooters? Will you take us to Hooters? And finally, towards the end, when the advisor started realizing, wait a minute, these kids are getting ready to be announced as the winners, he leaned over and he said, "So help me God, do not say the word Hooters on stage. I will take you, but do not say it." And Hooters sent them 4 gift cards. That was it.
Well, I think Hooters
I think Hooters needs to pay the college education of 2 of them, and Johnson & Johnson, and Nightline has picked up on the story.
Oh, there you go.
I think another I've got to find it. It's a morning show has picked up on the story.
I think that, I think that the media value of them doing anything like that would be 4 or 5 times what the cash outlay would be for, to open a savings account or a money market account for these kids.
And that was my question for you. I mean, here I am talking about it. Here the other press has picked up on it. It'll be interesting to see if one of these national shows will actually mention the tampon, because I think that was the most brilliant engineering move.
Oh,
it saved the day.
Right. Well, I think I don't mean to toot my agency's horn, but if you remember back at Super Bowl, we did a spot for GoDaddy.com, which
got pulled.
It got pulled in the second time it was supposed to run, in the fourth quarter, but it did get run in the first quarter, and the attention that spot got before, during, and after, for being what it was, a spot about censorship that got censored. The company estimated that they received over $12 million in publicity value from the spot, and and I think they paid $2 million, for the time in the Super Bowl. So you see, once something snowballs like this, the payoff is amazing. I mean, the Today Show, Friday before the Super Bowl, played the spot in its entirety. Now, do you know how much it costs for a 30-second spot on the Today Show? A lot of money.
Oh, it's a lot of money.
And then to have Brian Gumbel Brian Gumbel, somebody to talk about it afterwards, GoDaddy or Matt Lauer or whoever it was, actually talk about it. That's worth even exponentially more money. I mean, done correctly. Sometimes these accidents and these situations can really, really pay off, and I agree with you. And
I guess that was my question for you, is the fact that they had these incredible mentions of Hooters and incredible mention of OB tampons from Johnson & Johnson. It definitely caught my attention.
I would venture to say that would be a great opportunity for them to jump on, not knowing what their marketing guidelines, marketing dogma is.
But I still can't believe Hooters offered him free wings. Hello?
Well,
Hello?
Hooters doesn't have to do a lot of marketing.
I know, but it was just unbelievable. In fact, I got a great email from their advisor again. I said, do you mind if I talk about this on the air and maybe even start making some calls to Johnson & Johnson and Hooters? I'm curious what the ad value is to this. And I got a great email back from him today that said, obviously these people did not know that we knew Dayne Steele. Big marketing faux pas.
Yep. Oops. What a great story that would be.
But it's in the April issue of Wired magazine. It's not on the stand anymore, but definitely go online and look for it, because it is just great. Out of time. Tell everybody in New York hello.
I will.
All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Will you call me soon?
I will call you soon.
Talk to you next week.
All right, bye-bye. Mark
Bye.
Pascucci, the ad guy from the ad store in New York City. I was just curious, what was the value of those mentions in that magazine?
Steelworkers Unite. It's the Dayne Steele Show, exclusively on the Biz Radio Network.
Welcome back to the show. It's the art of doing business, and one of the things that continually comes up in the art of doing business is to keep your eyes open for incredible marketing opportunities. There was an article in the April issue of Wired magazine. I talked about it yesterday. Basically, 4 kids from a high school in Phoenix, 4 kids who pretty much probably weren't going anywhere, 4 undocumented kids, have an incredible computer science teacher who got them involved with the National Underwater Bot Championship. These are the robots, underwater robots, and these kids beat everybody, including the college students from MIT. Joining me on the phone right now is their advisor, Alan Cameron. Hello, Alan. How are you?
Hello, Dayna. This is great talking to you.
I just fell in love with, you and the other advisor and these 4 kids in this article. In fact, when I get off the air today, I'm going to put a link on my website so my listeners can find the article and read it. It's a long story. We only have a few minutes here, but from this article, how much money have you raised for these kids so far in donations?
Somewhere over $50,000. We work in a school district, so I have to be able to phone secretaries up who tell me. So I don't get the up-to-date figures, but it's around $50,000, and they'll split it 4 ways.
And for somebody who didn't hear the story yesterday, these kids are undocumented. Their families crossed the border, earlier in their lives. It's no fault of their own. They're undocumented, but because they don't qualify for, I guess, the school scholarships and the college scholarships, and they also don't qualify for in-state tuition. Is that right, Alan?
Yeah, that's pretty much correct. They also are not allowed to get driver's licenses, can't join the military, on and on and on and on. And these kids are as American as my kids. We go to baseball games, and they're rooting for Luis Gonzalez to hit another home run. They want to join the military. They will get married. They will have kids who are citizens, and they're going to be here the rest of their lives.
Well, what I was pointing out yesterday, and Tom, you can bring Josh on here too. What I was pointing out is we have 4 kids here who could have been out doing drugs, who could have gone out and gotten in trouble. Instead, they're absolutely brilliant. They should be going to college. These are the kids that are going to get us to Mars and get us back to the moon and figure out how to, mine an asteroid. Yet they've sort of fallen through the cracks.
And the big thing is like in the United States, for every engineer that graduates in the United States, 7 are graduating in China and India. We can't afford to turn kids away. We need more.
Well, in the article that Josh Davis wrote from Wired Magazine, are you with us, Josh?
I am. Hello.
I love your article. I love you for bringing this to my attention. These kids so badly wanted to go to Hooters if they won, and it is a hysterical part of the article. The amount of advertising that Hooters has gotten from this is, if you had to put a dollar figure on it, Josh, how many subscribers do you have, Josh?
570,000.
Okay. If Hooters wanted to put an ad in a magazine like Wired, it would cost them a pretty penny. Instead, they offered the 4 boys free wings. I'm not happy with that.
Alan, have you heard from Hooters?
No. Well, we had an offer about several weeks ago that they'd send us a chit for 4 free meals. That's more than we had 2 months ago, but we haven't gotten the chits yet.
Well, I think it's great that Wired fans, Wired readers, Wired subscribers have donated well over $50,000 at this point. But Josh and Alan, with your permission, I'm going to continue to pursue this not only with Hooters, but also with Johnson & Johnson, the creator of OB tampons, which every time I say that makes everybody at the radio station cringe. But you have to read the article.
Oh, you do. You do. I can't wait till I see their new ad campaign.
Just suffice it to say they found a very unique way to take care of a problem with a leak in the robot. Josh, how did you find these kids?
I was actually contacted by one of their sponsors at Intel who wrote me an email and said, you should really be paying attention to these guys. And what's interesting to me about it is that I didn't start talking to Alan and the kids until December of last year. And they won the National Underwater Robotics Championships in June. So there was a long stretch of months where nobody was paying any attention to them. And it seemed like a shame to me that was the case, because they did some amazing things and they deserve to be acknowledged and noticed.
It was such an uplifting story. And, in fact, my poor 16-year-old stepson who's making C's, I made him sit down and read the entire thing. It's such an uplifting story till you get to the very end and find out these kids are going to have a hard time going to college, paying for college, yet they all 4 deserve scholarships. They're brilliant. What is happening now, Alan, with you said you've had national TV coverage, or you're getting coverage now?
ABC Nightline, or ABC News Nightline, has been with us. Well, let me back up just a little bit. This last week we were in Atlanta, Georgia, in another robotics competition, and we came in second out of the entire world. So we didn't get first place in this one, but like I told the kids, it's like a high school team that played professional baseball and won the Super Bowl, and then you go baseball and Super Bowl. Baseball and win the World Series, and then you go play the Super Bowl and you only came in second. So the kids are doing a fantastic job, and I forgot what your question was.
Just that the coverage that you're getting.
Oh,
this
yeah,
is just
yeah.
Great.
Well, ABC Nightline News was with us in Atlanta, and they've been with us all week, even today, covering the kids. And I think it's going to be quite a story. Most of the story is on the humanness of the kids and the competition and what it's brought out of them. But there also will be touching on the undocumented issue, and hopefully the message to get across that there's a DREAM Act that is introduced every year in Congress, and it almost always passes, that we really need to pass that. We're wasting an awful lot of talent at a time when engineering, number of high school kids going into engineering right now is declining, and yet the jobs are increasing. And if we look down the road 10, 20 years, we're going to be really hurting if we don't do something in inspiring kids in math and science and engineering. Remember, there's not another Sputnik going up to get us all fired up. I'm afraid the next time we're going to get all excited about this is when the Chinese are colonizing the moon.
That's a scary thought, and living in the area of the Johnson Space Center, I can tell you that's exactly what the concerns are. And when the president says, hey, we're going to the moon and then on to Mars, we're not doing it without these kids.
No, we're talking it, but we're not doing it. We got to pump up education. But more importantly, like your son, ask him who his role models are, and they'll start spouting off sports figures and entertainment figures. They don't say astronauts anymore, and rocket scientist now is sort of a derogatory term, whereas 40 years ago that really was rocket science meant rocket science. We need to get back to that. Kids today are being attracted to the entertainment industries, not math and science like we used to. We used to be the country of innovators, Yankee know-how. Well, we have 4 kids from Mexico here that are more American than many Americans,
who have done an amazing job. I mean, and you, Alan, applause and kudos out to you and Josh for finding this story and bringing it to me. I am bound and determined you are going to get more than a plate of wings from Hooters, Alan.
All right. Well, especially for Lorenzo. You're a goddess now.
The teachers are a little nervous about taking the kids to Hooters, so they're kind of waiting for them to graduate before
I think you better.
Keep that carrot in front of them.
I think you better. Well, I tell you what, anytime you guys are ready to come to NASA and meet the astronauts, I know the astronauts would love to meet you guys, and I would be more than happy to set up that field trip for you.
June 16th, 17th, and 18th, we will be there because that's where this year's underwater ROV competition is.
You are going to come be on my show.
Will be there, and we will too.
I want your kids on the show. I want you on the show, and we are going to make sure that you meet some of these astronauts and that they are well aware of your story. Thank you, both of you. Josh Davis from Wired Magazine for bringing me the story, and Alan Cameron, the most amazing teacher in all of Arizona.
Thank you, Dana. And on behalf of my partner, Faridodin Lajvardi, we both thank you.
All right, and give the kids a big hug for me. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Josh.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. Go to DaynaSteele.com, DaynaSteele.com. Give me a few minutes, but I'm going to give you a link to this story. It is such a great story. Have a great weekend. Thank you so much for being with me this week. I'm ready for a weekend. It's The Art of Doing Business on the Biz Radio Network. See you Monday.